The inner silence is self-surrender, and that means living without the sense of ego. The real silence is a still mind. If the mind is active, there is no benefit in not speaking. What is needed is to control both thought and speech. When the mind is turned inwards, it is active in a different way and is not anxious to speak. The Power of Silence by Ramana Maharshi. The purpose of a vow of silence is to limit the mental activities provoked by speech. But if the mind is controlled, this is unnecessary and silence becomes natural. A vow is only a vow. It may help meditation to some extent, but what is the use of keeping the mouth shut and letting the mind run riot? If the mind is engaged in meditation, what need is there for speech? Nothing is as good as meditation. What is the use of a vow of silence if one is engrossed in activity? If the mind is controlled, useless speech will be avoided, but abjuring speech will not quieten the mind. The effect cannot produce the cause. Until the mind is ripe to do so, it is not even possible to give up activity. Silence is the most potent form of work. The Guru is quiet, and peace prevails in all. His silence is vaster and more emphatic than all the scriptures put together. The Guru is always within you. The highest form of grace is silence. It is also the highest spiritual instruction. All other modes of instruction are derived from silence and are therefore secondary. Silence is the primary form. If the Guru is silent, the seeker's mind gets purified by itself. Which is the better, to preach loudly without effect, or to sit silently sending out inner force? Again, how does speech arise? First, there is abstract knowledge. Out of this arises the ego, which in turn gives rise to thought, and thought to the spoken word. So the word is the great-grandson of the original source. If the word can produce an effect, judge for yourself, how much more powerful must be the preaching through silence? How can silence be so powerful? A realized one sends out waves of spiritual influence which draw many people towards him. Yet he may sit in a cave and maintain complete silence. We may listen to lectures upon truth and come away with hardly any grasp of the subject, but to come into contact with a realized one, though he speaks nothing, will give much more grasp of the subject. He never needs to go out among the public. If necessary, he can use others as instruments. The Guru is the bestower of silence who reveals the light of self-knowledge, which shines as the residual reality. Spoken words are of no use whatsoever if the eyes of the Guru meet the eyes of the disciple. Does Bhagavan give Diksha, initiation? Mauna, silence, is the best and the most potent Diksha. That was practiced by Sri Dakshinamurti. Initiation by touch, look, etc. are all of a lower order. Silent initiation changes the hearts of all. Dakshinamurti observed silence when the disciples approached him. That is the highest form of initiation. Muna Diksha is the most perfect. It comprises looking, touching, and teaching. It will purify the individual in every way and establish him in the reality. Such is the Guru. Such is Dakshinamurti. What did he do? He was silent when the disciples appeared before him. He maintained silence, and the doubts of the disciples were dispelled, which means that they lost their individual identities. Can the Guru's silence really bring about advanced states of spiritual awareness. There is an old story which demonstrates the power of the Guru's silence. Tatvaraya composed a Bharani, a kind of poetic composition in Tamil, in honor of his guru Swarupananda, and convened an assembly of learned pandits to hear the work and assess its value. The pandits raised the objection that a Bharani was only composed in honor of great heroes capable of killing 1,000 elephants in battle, and that it was not in order to compose such a work in honor of an ascetic. Thereupon, the author said, "Let us all go to my guru, and we shall have this matter settled there." They went to the guru, and after they had all taken their seats, the author told his guru the purpose of their visit. The guru sat silent, and all the others also remained in Muna. The whole day passed, the night came, and some more days and nights, and yet all sat there silently, no thought at all occurring to any of them, and nobody thinking or asking why they had come there. After 3 or 4 days like this, the guru moved his mind a bit, and the people assembled immediately regained their thought activity. They then declared, "Conquering 1,000 elephants is nothing beside this guru's power to conquer the rutting elephants of all our egos put together. So certainly he deserves the Bharani in his honor." How does this silent power work? Language is only a medium for communicating one's thoughts to another. It is called in only after thoughts arise. Other thoughts arise after the I thought rises, and so the I thought is the root of all conversation. When one remains without thinking, one understands another by means of the universal language of silence. Silence is ever speaking. It is a perennial flow of language which is interrupted by speaking. These words I am speaking obstruct that mute language. For example, there is electricity flowing in a wire. With resistance to its passage, it glows as a lamp or revolves as a fan. In the wire, it remains as electric energy. Similarly also, silence is the eternal flow of language, obstructed by words. What one fails to know by conversation extending to several years can be known instantly in silence, or in front of silence. Dakshinamurti and his 4 disciples are a good example of this. This is the highest and most effective language. By speaking, their power is reduced. Silence is most powerful. Speech is always less powerful than silence, so mental contact is the best. Sri Bhagavan's silence is itself a powerful force. It brings about a certain peace of mind in us. Silence is never-ending speech. Vocal speech obstructs the other speech of silence. In silence, one is in intimate contact with the surroundings. The silence of Dakshinamurti removed the doubts of the 4 sages. Silence is said to be exposition. Silence is so potent. For vocal speech, organs of speech are necessary, and they precede speech. But the other speech lies even beyond thought. It is in short, transcendent speech, or unspoken words.